Good afternoon, this is Dan Howe at PTI Securities and Futures for your Friday afternoon wrap-up for 11/11/11. Okay, last night they had a relatively narrow range, although it was very positive. The S&P is only 14 points overnight. Realistically, no bad news out of Europe. We have a couple of names tossed out to who might actually replace the governments, but nothing official yet. But the fact that we actually have people was considered to be pretty positive, and no other real bad news came out. Also, the Italian 10-year note continued to fall. The interest rate on it continued to fall. So it's back down substantially below 7%, which is kind of what we expected for this week because we knew that ECB would be buying some bonds, and they're limited on how much they can do, but short term they can have some effect, and that's pretty much baked into the rate right now. Relatively small earnings news overnight. Not much going on here in our before or after the close in the way of earnings news, but a very, very positive day. During the course of the day, the only fundamental news that came out was the Michigan sentiment came in better than expected, 64 versus consensus 60. Obviously that's good to have an impact on retail sales going into Christmas as well as car sales. But a very strong day on an exceptionally low volume because it was a banking holiday, so there was no cash bonds traded, and it was very, very thin in our bond market. But the SPX closed up 24 to 1263. The Dow closed up 259 to 12153, blasting back through the 12,000 level again. So we've gone through there both directions many, many times in the last couple of weeks. NASDAQ closed up to 2678. Dollar very negative today at 76.90, down 93. Gold positive, up $29. Also oil up pretty good. So realistically, risk trade was back on. We bought gold, we bought oil, we bought pretty much all the major commodities and everything else really. Going into next week, we have really no fundamental news for Monday. Starting on Tuesday, we get some, but very, very heavy calendar on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday going into expiration. Realistically, though, this is all about Europe. If they have anything bad news comes out over the weekend, we're off to the races again because realistically, if the Italian bonds gets to 7% and stays there, because realistically the ECBs probably can't continue to buy. If it does stay there, you know, they're on the road to another bailout. I'm not exactly sure who has the money to do it with Italy. This has been Dan Howe, PTI Securities and Futures.